This video review is made for adult collectors because the game came out in 2010. If you were born then, you'd be able to drive, and you're almost able to rent a car.
Hello everybody, Baltmatrix here, and today we're taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Gamer Edition Sideswipe. I picked this figure up over at the Hasbro Pulse. In robot mode, the figure is kind of grayish charcoal, I don't want to say gray, silverish charcoal, and obviously red. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, he actually looks pretty good in robot mode. The pictures that Hasbro has put out on the web really don't do the figure justice in hand. It just looks so much better. And oddly enough, his forearms are glossy. I don't know why. That's just weird. The overall aesthetic of the figure is pretty darn good, except for one thing. He has hollow chest syndrome. So if we move or unpeg the back a little bit, yeah, they're he doesn't have much in the guts department. Otherwise, look-wise, it's fantastic. And that head sculpt, that head sculpt is very nice. Just plain and simple. Very nice. Definitely looks like a Cybertronian version of Sideswipe. It's just really, really good. Or at least I think it is. Now, I need to talk about something, and that's the QC on this figure. It sucks. At least for my figure. His arms are fine. In fact, his arm that pulls off, it's on there real tight. And I think that's because the arm is painted in the dark charcoal color and then spray painted red. So that's fine. And he comes with a gun, and that pegs into the bottom of, or the back of the gun. And he is able to go pew 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 pew, shooty 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 shooty. In fact, he looks like the one character from the Bad Batch. Arm, it's perfectly fine. Getting it back on, man, that's a lot tighter than you think it's going to be. Also, it might help if I put it on in the right direction. No, the QC issues that I have with this figure have to do with the legs. I got noodles. They're noodles in the hips, and they are noodly in the knees. The figure's left knee is much better than the right knee. So that one, and then that falls down a little bit. And I honestly don't know how to fix this. The pins, I can't really fix. Maybe if I put a little bit of super glue in them and then start moving them around, that might work. The hips, they're just ball joints. I could fix that. But otherwise, oh man, it's a pain in the butt. And it really does ruin the figure, because I had him standing on not a surface like this where it's carpeted, yes, where it's fabric, but on just a nice smooth wooden surface, and he did that. Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Weapon storage. There is a slot right on his back that you could just peg the gun into, and it sticks up like that. Or if you're feeling silly, you could just do that and have it stick out between the legs. Now, size-wise, Optimus Prime, Gamer Megatron, Chase, Legacy Prowl, Magnanimous, Starscream, Shard, and his brother. I got these boys on the same day, and both of them being a Cybertronian mode really breaks my brain, because we've got the gamer version from the 10-year-old video game, and then we've got the Bumblebee movie version from the movie that's, 5, 6, 7 years old, maybe? It breaks my brain, because they're two completely different figures, completely different designs, but they feel similar, which is funny. In terms of posability, head is on a ball joint with limited amounts of up and down movement. Shoulders are on ball joints. There is a swivel at the upper arm, and then a elbow bend, no fist articulation. There is limited torso articulation for the transformation, but if you move the torso too much, it pops apart not only the backpack, but the chest as well. Legs can kick forward and can kick back. Bend at the knee is about 90 degrees, and there's no foot articulation whatsoever, unless you count the forward bend for the transformation. But I don't. And that's a shame, because even with the posability issues, or the looseness in the legs, his posability is pretty darn limited thanks to those feet. And the fact that the feet have no movement whatsoever sucks. But it's kind of part of the design, and Given the way the transformation goes, I kind of understand it. When the figure comes to you, it has the gun, the figure, and then this piece is actually separated. It is very easy to put back on or remove. It just slides on to that peg in the front. Now, the directions and the box say to do this, to have the backpack sticking up like that. I prefer to do it this way. That's just, or the way I've shown it to you in this video. That's just a personal preference. I like that way. I think that looks cooler. All right, transformation time. First, take the fists and fold them up into the forearms. And then kind of come into the front and unpeg the chest a little bit, and then fold that away from the body. Come to the shoulders and pull them away from the body like that. And these little bits, or these little gray bits, flip them up as far as they will go. One word of warning, if you don't, when you transform them back, if you don't push these all the way in, they will pop out very easily. Once you have the shoulders disconnected, grab the chest and push the head back, and that will free up the chest and this section, and that will free the head up. You could fold the head into the back like that, and then we'll want to grab the legs and just turn them around 360 degrees, 180. Then take the shoulders and bring them up like this, but not all the way. What we're going to want to do is fold the chest section up, and then unpeg the chest and flip it around like this, and then bring the shoulder sections up and sandwich them together like that. So we want the actual chest piece that's holding the figure together to be underneath the wheels, and then the actual chest to flip over, and you can see right where my finger is. Right there. We want that bar to get sandwiched in between the shoulders and these gray pieces. So then we can then move on to the rest of the transformation. Come down to the legs, fold the feet forward, grab these panels on the outside of the legs and unpeg them, and then flip them around. Do that on both sides. And then grab these panels and open them up. And then these little sections that are inside the legs, I had them pointing in the wrong direction, they'll be pointing down. We want to flip them around and have them point upwards along the legs. And they will combine. And then the legs will close up and become the underside of the car mode. Before we do that, bring the arms in like that. So flip the legs up, and the doors will cover the legs. And do the same thing on the other side. And bring this spoiler around and down. And when we do that, we'll peg them into these little pegs. But first we got to get the legs. And this is where the floppiness of the legs really is detrimental to the figure. They just flop about and cause a bunch of issues. Oh, and I had the arms turned wrong. So let's pull the legs down and turn the arms correctly. So the fists are pointing down and these little tabs are pointing towards the outside, because that is going to peg into the inside of these door panels right there. So fold that up and get that over the arm, and that will peg into place. And then once the leg is completely collapsed, and then close that panel and do the same thing on the other side. And then it is a game of, can we get all the panels to close correctly? So we got to get that pegged in first, which oddly enough is kind of hard to do unless you have everything lined up perfectly. There we go. Then we can drop this down and snap it over those little pegs, which again, not as easy to do as you might think, because I end up doing that more often than not. Then we close that top, and well, let me futz with this a little bit, and we'll get that back in place. There. That works, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Once you've got the rear of the vehicle mode in place, come to the back and unpeg these little red bits, and flip them around like that so we now can freely spin the wheels. And we're done. I have to admit, that is a very nice little vehicle mode. It's really nice. That's all I can say. It's just really nice. This looks fantastic. I mean, it looks freaking fantastic. It's rolls with no problem, and it's only scraping because my backdrop here isn't wholly flat. And yeah, it just works really well as a Sideswipe. I could easily see this redone as somebody else, possibly Jazz. But this works, and you can attach the gun in 2 different spots. There's a spot right up here on the very top. Oh, and if you apply any pressure at all to this hinge, the front just comes unpegged. So you've got the gun right there. Or, if you're really stupid, you could just put it right up front, so he could shoot as he drives. Or you could turn it around, and he could shoot some seekers as they come after him. That does work too. But overall, I've got to admit, the alt mode, it's good. Let's do some vehicle comparisons. Origins Bumblebee, Origins Wheeljack, Gamer Edition Barricade, Gamer Edition Bumblebee, and Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Sideswipe. The 2 of these together look fantastic. They just look fantastic. I love the way these 2 look with one another. They just ooze charm and character. Overall, Sideswipe is not a bad toy. It isn't, or Gamer Sideswipe, I should say, but it is very much let down by the terrible QC issues in the legs. That's inexcusable in this day and age, but unfortunately, it's kind of par for the course for the Gamer Edition figures. It's really weird. Like, some of the Gamer Edition figures are just good. Like, they're solid, no QC issues. Then others just are a mess. It's very odd. And there's no real consistency. I'm wondering if there's just problems at the factories, maybe? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea and no insight into that. But it is a bummer because these Gamer Edition figures are neat. I like them. I think they're just flawed. That's the only word I can come up with without being a jerk. I think they're just flawed, and that's in the execution. And maybe that's because the Legacy line is getting top billing, and the Gamer Edition and Studio Series, some of the Studio Series game line is not. I don't know. I don't know the economics of the situation. And I mean, let's face it, Hasbro is not exactly doing well financially right now. They're not awful. They're not in the weeds, but they could be doing better. And that is starting to become evident with a lot of the quality control issues we're seeing out of figures lately. I mean, that's not to say that they haven't always had quality control issues, because boy, howdy have they. So, folks, let me know what you think of Gamer Sideswipe down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been Baltmatrix. Ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time.